All right. I am back with Waqas Ahmad, my special correspondent for Imran Khan affairs.
Yeah, it's
So-
good that we are having this series of talks while this goes on in
yeah.
background because it's really interesting. Things keep developing, and
You'll
it's good to.
never be out of a job as an Imran Khan commentator for the foreseeable future. Not on this
Yeah,
channel. So
yeah, I
look,
think crazy.
I'm reading the New York Times article.
Hmm.
Pakistan court gives Imran Khan another reprieve from arrest. The police were ordered not to arrest the former prime minister who has been charged under Pakistan's Anti-Terrorism Act before a hearing set for next Wednesday.
That is such a weird framing, you know? How is this reprieve if you have a case against someone that has no basis in any fact, and
Yeah.
then you get bail from it? That's not a great situation to be in. Like you start
Uh,
from zero, you end up at bail.
it's also terrorism. So, like,
Yeah.
you would think they wouldn't be so. This is a guy who's being charged with terrorism. If they take that seriously, they should get him, whether he,
Yeah.
you know,
If he is a terrorist,
yeah. Why are
if
you
the
leaving?
Pakistani
Yeah.
government thinks he's a terrorist, why is he roaming the streets and
How are you
addressing
leaving
crowds?
this? How are you leaving this dangerous terrorist?
No,
To
he should
just
not be out. He should be in
right.
jail behind bars if he's a terrorist.
So
But maybe if he's in,
his bond was set. He went to court. His bond was set for $450.
yeah, which is
US.
1 lakh Pakistani rupees, which is fine.
That's fine. It's a
Uh,
reasonable bail. He
mhm.
said Pakistan is being mocked all over the world, and it makes Pakistan look like a banana republic. That's
That's a completely false.
fair.
Nobody's mocking Pakistan. Who says
Nobody's
that?
mocking
This is a country
Pakistan.
with rule of law and everything's going perfect.
Rule of
Today,
law. Yeah.
yeah, today there's a pediatric nephrologist, one of the very few in Pakistan. He's appearing in court for a tweet.
Was it a terroristic sort of tweet?
It was a very terroristic tweet. It was a tweet questioning Pakistan's establishment. So huge amount of terror has been spread by that one tweet, questioning the powers about how this country is being run. So he has to be handcuffed and produced in court, which happened today. So he treats children. I don't know what's happening to children while he's attending these court hearings. It's just a random guy. So he's not even a famous guy. So, and this is not just one. There are so many, and we don't hear about many of these stories because they're just nobodies, like 18-year-old, 20-year-old teenagers who have tweeted something, and then they get arrested, they get picked up, and then their videos come out. They're them apologizing in front of camera.
Wow.
That has happened too. Right now there's like really, I am not exaggerating, this is unprecedented. Pakistan has seen military dictatorships, many of them, but this has not happened.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of unprecedented stuff going on the the judges are also being, I mean, there's always been conflict between military politicians and judges at various levels, but there's been a lot of intimidation of judges as well, right?
Yeah.
So can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, there has always been an intimidation of judges, and this has gone like historically in Pakistan. When Pakistan first had martial law for the first time, it was the Pakistani judiciary that endorsed it, and they called it the doctrine of necessity. The doctrine of necessity, what it is, the most hilarious thing, but it is a legal thing. The doctrine of necessity said that since the military is already on the seat, and since if we remove it from the power it has taken, if we remove it, there will be chaos. So it is necessary for the military to maintain order. And this is the legal framework that we will use to allow military to destroy the constitution.
So Imran Khan himself said something is unprecedented. He said, I never thought in my life I would see this sort of thing happening in the country, people sort of spontaneously coming out without being led out by political parties. So this is also, I mean, there's unprecedented kinds of repression. I mean, there's always been a lot of repression, of course.
Yeah.
But there is certain levels of repression that we haven't seen. The internet you've been monitoring the internet shutdowns. Can you talk about the internet shutdowns a little too?
Yeah, addressing your first point,
Yeah.
this unprecedented censorship exists because of the pushback.
Mhm.
So in the past, people have never pushed back, and the military and the government has never needed to go this far. So this is like a symbiotic relationship. What's been happening with the internet is 2-3 days ago, during an Imran Khan speech, they shut down YouTube. And that was a verifiable, tested event. NetBlocks, famous NGO that looks after it international, they reported on it, how Pakistan blocked YouTube. In addition to YouTube, there is something weird going on. We do not have like confirmation on what's happening. For 2 days in a row, Pakistani internet all over Pakistan has been completely shut down. So all ISPs have shut down mysteriously. My theory is it's a conspiracy theory that they're probably testing a new firewall, like something along the style of China that completely shuts down Pakistani internet whenever they need to.
I suspect it won't be like China. I suspect it'll be modeled on India, because what India does in Kashmir is this. India was the champion. Maybe Pakistan will overtake, maybe you guys will overtake India, which would be a cause for
but India does it only in Kashmir, right?
Only in Kashmir, but they shut down everything in Kashmir. You can't send text messages in Kashmir. Or
that has happened in Pakistan during some of the previous rallies, not recently, but like in the past, whenever government suspected, there is a precedent of shutting down internet and phone services completely, which makes life very strange. You know, the day you find internet and all communication shut down, you can't talk to your friend, you can't talk to anyone. That has happened in the past in Pakistan, and it might happen again. So this is where everything, all of this, like this uncertainty, this instability, everything is so bad. And right now, what they're planning, if I'm not exactly sure if they're planning it, but if they actually arrest Imran Khan, to do so, they must shut down internet. That will be a prerequisite for it.
If they shut down a lot more than the internet.
Internet.
Listen, the government, just speaking of how bad this is for business, as far as business goes, inflation has gone up even since the coup. By 40%. By 40%.
40%, one of the highest in the world.
But the government has one triumph to report, which is they've managed to negotiate a new deal with the IMF, right? Well, good on you guys.
I don't know if it's a triumph. It's on really strict conditions, and they haven't been made public yet. So every day, every other day, the fuel prices rise in Pakistan. Electricity prices have been rising. So we don't know what the deal is with the IMF, and
it's dramatic. Like people go for gas one day, and then the next day it goes up, and it just keeps going up like that.
Yeah, the government announces it. So Pakistani government has an authority that announces, that sets gas prices, and they have been increasing it very frequently.
And then, of course, the other victory I'd say that the new government can claim is they let the U.S. assassinate Zawahiri again. Because
which is also.
Every time they kill Zawahiri, that's always a good sign, right? They killed Zawahiri in Iraq. They killed him in Afghanistan a few times.
I think they finally got him this time.
Yeah, you think so?
Finally,
I think it's going to be different this time. I think it's going to be different. I think there's going to be huge reductions in terrorism all over the world. That's
how it works. You kill someone and terrorism reduces drastically.
Yeah, I think that's the theory. So that's great.
Not really. See, also, as with everything else that we have talked about, we do not know what was the deal behind the scenes that helped America catch Zawahiri. It's a great thing, terrorist, he has been killed, whatever. I really have no love for him, but the drone came from somewhere. right? The drone has to fly, and it has to fly over things. That's the nature of flying. And who did it fly over? Did it fly over Pakistan? If it did fly over, Zawahiri has friends in the world, and they will not be really happy with people who are letting drones fly over their countries. So what will happen? Will Pakistan face any consequences? Maybe, maybe not. But do Pakistani people have the right to know that this has been done on their behalf? Definitely, yes. And we don't know.
Okay, so you know, I was thinking that this terrorism charge means you and me should definitely apologize to listeners because you know, it's clear that it wasn't a coup. Right?
Yeah, he was a terrorist all along.
So in terms of the but in terms of the, you know, the fairness, the freeness and fairness of the electoral system, I do think they could claim that there's freeness and fairness because Imran Khan candidates, I mean, this is what precipitated a lot of what's happening now in terms of the charges against Imran Khan, probably, right? Because there was an election in Punjab. Can you talk about the election in Punjab? Punjab being, we'll just tell listeners, Punjab is the biggest state, the biggest province in Pakistan. You know, it's also where I would say most of the elite comes from. It's where most of, you know, it's the big province. Okay,
it's a big one. 70% of Pakistan.
Yeah, 70% of Pakistan. There's Sindh, there's Balochistan, there's
Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, KPK, and Punjab.
And the FATA, I guess, but Punjab
has been merged into KPK.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Okay, good to know. So that is Punjab is a big deal. Like what happens in Punjab is a huge deal.
The party that wins Punjab forms the central government.
Right. So okay. So tell me what happened. What was this election? What's the significance?
So there were 20 candidates, 20 MNAs, member of National Assembly, that were a part of PTI. And Pakistan has this floor crossing law that if you're a part of one party, you cannot switch your loyalties while you're in the parliament because you've taken votes for a certain party. And if you want to switch sides, you must resign and then come back. But when this whole coup situation was being engineered, there were 20 members of the PTI that switched their alliances. This is where this ball started rolling. So these 20 people switched their alliances. At that time, Imran Khan went to the court and he said that this should be stopped preemptively because, you know, it's illegal. But the courts at that time didn't stop it and they put it on the back burner. And after a couple of months and so, the courts finally decided that these people who switched side had in fact violated the constitution.
Right. So that itself must have been a very a decision they must have taken under some degree of intimidation. You know, like they must have been intimidated to not make that decision, you know. So the judges
so but you cannot they might have been intimidated, but the thing is there is a limit to how illegal you can be. Right. You know, as custodians of the law. So when the law is in black and white, and it is not even a law that is like written on any book below the constitution, this law is from the top book. This is from the Constitution of Pakistan. So you cannot brazenly violate the constitution unless you declare a martial law or whatever. You can do it, you can, you know, play with it, you can do a lot of things, but there's a limit to it. So these people had to be disqualified. Right. When they were disqualified, the Election Commission of Pakistan had to announce elections in their place. So these 20 seats were vacated and they had to announce elections again. So out of these 20 seats, and there's an interesting background of these 20 seats. These are the 20 seats that the former Pakistani opposition, PML, PPP, and all of these parties claim that were their people, and they switched sides to PTI on the pressure of the military in 2018 elections. So these were 2018 turncoats. These 20 people are the absolute proof of Imran Khan's military providing support of Imran Khan, according to the opposition.
Right.
Because many of these were PMLN members who, when 2018 elections were announced, they contested the elections independently And then they joined, after winning the elections, they joined PTI and became PTI members. Now, these people, when they were disqualified, there was supposed to be a new election, and PMLN claimed that these were our seats that were forced by the military to switch to PTI. So now we'll take them back. This was the basic battleground. What happened was that out of these 20 seats, 15 were overwhelmingly won by the PTI, which could in a way put to rest the 2018 theory, but maybe because of this coup that happened, Imran Khan became really popular. We might never know. It's really hard to differentiate the popularity metrics there. What also happened was there was one seat in Rawalpindi which Imran Khan's party actually won. And they in the at the dark hours of the night, at the last minute, they gave him like 5 extra votes or something and made him win. So to say that these 20 seats were contested in a free and fair election is not true. They tried their best on every seat. It's just that the margin was too big. There is a limit beyond which they cannot go. They cannot take guns to the polling station. They cannot take which has happened in the past, and by the way, in Pakistan. But like, there's so much media, there's so much scrutiny.
And I guess they don't trust their lower ranks anymore either, right? I mean, maybe the lower ranks of the Pakistan military may not be.
I can't comment on that. You can say whatever about that, but I'm not in a position to comment about that.
No, indeed. But there was somebody said along those lines. I think there was some.
Shehbaz Gill, who is now under arrest.
Right.
Shehbaz Gill was, we should talk about that too. This is the main thing. Yeah. Shehbaz. So when let's finish this last thing. Okay. So when Imran Khan won these 15 seats, they realized that this whole coup operation has gone horribly wrong, because Imran Khan has gained popularity, and whenever they go for elections, Imran Khan will win, which happened in Karachi too. Last week, Karachi had one such election, and Imran Khan won with overwhelming like 4,000 vote margin. It was huge.
Yeah. That's hard to.
Yeah, so you can't do anything with 4,000, 4,500 are manageable, you can do something with that, but 4,000, it's too much. You can reject votes on like flimsy grounds, but 4,000 is too much. So after that happened, these people realized that there is no way to stop this thing unless they resort to something deeply fascistic. So what they did was Shehbaz Gill, who was the chief of staff of Imran Khan while he was the prime minister, he still is. He said on TV, and his exact words were that lower-ranking military officers should not obey the illegal orders of higher ranks.
Right. Which is
according to the Constitution of Pakistan, which is not
according to every
wrong.
military. Every military and probably in history has explicit rule that you shouldn't obey illegal orders.
Yeah, that's the Nuremberg trials were based on this exact thing, that if the orders are illegal, you're not supposed to obey them. Had he said that the lower ranking officers should not obey the seniors at all, then it could have been, then there would have been a real case, right? In like supporting mutiny in the army. He did not say, he used the word illegal. But the next day he was arrested. He was taken to jail. He was tortured. He was stripped. His private parts were electrocuted. According to him, he has said this in a very clear manner. He said on TV that his penis and testicles were electrocuted. This is what he said. When Imran Khan found out about this, in the rally that has become the cause of his terrorism charge, he said that people who are doing this, we will file a case. Also, Imran Khan, like many of the media has been reported, he didn't say that we will, kill them or harass them. He said very clearly that we will file cases against them. The word that we will file cases against them is in that sentence. So this is how Imran Khan wants to seek revenge against these people. But this is what happened. Shehbaz Gill, and he's still in jail. After that, another journalist, I'm forgetting his name, Faruqi. He has also been arrested. Some journalists have left Pakistan. Arshad Sharif has left Pakistan. Many journalists are talking about leaving Pakistan. So this is where we are at. I forgot your initial question. What was it?
No, I mean, we had been talking about the Punjab elections, and then, but I wanted to talk about Shehbaz Gill as well.
This is really serious. Like, I don't know who is the adult in the room in Pakistan, but if someone says something like this, and in a country like Pakistan, to even say this, to even admit that has social repercussion, it's a taboo thing to even admit, you know, to put yourself out there,
of course.
To put yourself out there and say that this has happened to you. It's a big deal. No, like, I don't think someone would lie about such a thing.
Right.
So, this is extremely serious and nobody's paying attention to it.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of stunned. I'm having, you know, I'm having a moment, because it really is. But I mean, it's interesting too, the way the dynamic goes, because Shehbaz Gill says don't follow illegal orders. They arrest him and torture him. This angers Imran Khan. Imran Khan makes this speech saying, you know, there'll be legal consequences. I mean, it's all, you know, everybody's talking about the law, and then they try to arrest him for terrorism. The idea of the adult in the room is an interesting one, because it is interesting that they've hesitated to make the arrest, right? They've clearly they've blinked, at least, you know, or they're taking a deep breath before they take this big plunge, because it is a big plunge, right, to actually go through with the arrest. So,
we don't know if there are some logical reasons to it or just logistical, you know, because Imran Khan has been surrounded by people. To reach him and to arrest him is not that easy without some sort of violence.
It's a military operation.
To do that it's not going to be easy. And maybe they have, like, had they stopped because they think that it's a wrong thing and it will escalate things, then they might not have done so many of the other things they've done in the past. So this is not like the fear of escalation. I feel this is just not their inability to do things. Was Imran Khan less, like, his popularity was lesser than it is right now? If he didn't have this circle of, like, crowd surrounding him, they might have gotten him by now.
I think that's true. But there has been, I mean, the people, I've seen this on posters. I've heard this many times. The whole Imran Khan is our red line. You know, don't even think about it. So there does seem to be, like, this is it. Like, this is the test. Like, if, you know, it's kind of like coming down to this. If they can arrest him, then they win, right? Like, they've sort of shown that they can cross that red line and still survive somehow as a government, as opposed to if they can't.
I'm not sure if they think that, but I'm also not sure if they manage to arrest him, they win, because then the actual thing will start.
I've got the other New York Times story from a couple of days ago. Pakistan's Imran Khan is now the target of forces he once wielded. I mean, okay.
Nobody wields this force.
Okay.
This is a force that wields you.
That's right. So, but it quotes us Zulfikar Abbas Bukhari, who says at the end, they end with this dramatic quote. He says, if this red line is crossed, we'll be forced to shut down the country. Arresting him will result in a nationwide revolt. So
Yeah, they have given us some sort of blueprint for what will happen after Imran Khan is arrested. Asad Umar recently said that if Imran Khan is arrested, all cities will be shut down. And they have given instructions to their workers in different cities on how to shut down cities. And then once all the cities are shut down, they will move towards Islamabad. Once they move towards Islamabad, then it's like Arab Spring-like situation, which despite all the protests that have been happening, has not happened yet. Imran Khan, they might think that he is the flood, but he is actually the dam. Once that dam is removed, then the flood will come for them.
Yeah. I mean, this is Time Magazine, right? It may backfire.
It will backfire.
It may backfire.
Yeah.
It has. It seems to me it already has, but I
It
guess
already has. Everything that they have done, it has backfired. Because you cannot go against this is the, I feel that the foundational myth of all of these people, including the Pakistani military, is thinking that they created Imran Khan, that Imran Khan is some artificial entity that they propped up. They keep thinking, if you think that, then it means that if you propped up Imran Khan, if the Pakistani military can prop up Imran Khan, they can pull him down. But we see they have been unable to pull him down, which means that they did not create him. And they have such a huge ego that they cannot admit the fact that they did not create Imran Khan. Imran Khan is a product of a system gone rotten. Because the system was so rotten, people were looking for something to bank their hopes upon. And as I keep saying that, as imperfect as Imran Khan was, it was above that rotten system. And people thought that they could, pin their hopes on. And when, even at that time, when military had a fight against Nawaz Sharif for various political power struggle reasons, they did support Imran Khan to pull down Nawaz Sharif, but they did not realize that they cannot pull him down because it is not their creation. They have just unlocked a key to the door, because military is a gatekeeper of Pakistani power. So if you do not give a key to anyone, if the Pakistani military does not give a key to anyone, they cannot go into corridors of power. And this is traditionally has been true, no matter how popular you are. Once you go in, then you listen to the military, and Imran Khan has refused to now listen to the military, which is the cause of all the problem. Military thinks that they can now pull him down, but this has become impossible. And we see that again and again, despite arresting journalists, despite shutting down the biggest TV channel of Pakistan, by the way. ARY is illegal in Pakistan now. ARY had the highest rating in Pakistan. It cannot be aired in Pakistan right now. They've been shut down. Most of their journalists are on the run. So despite doing all of this has happened, still they're blocking YouTube in the middle of the night. Imagine how helpless they are. They might project all of this power, but deep down inside, if they're picking up a pediatric nephrologist for one tweet, that tells you how insecure and how fragile this whole edifice is.
So I mean, I think we'll come back again in a little while, because to reprise your role as special correspondent. But it seems to me that, if I were them right now, it seems to me you either take the plunge and arrest him, and then what happens? The country basically, who knows? I mean, you're really going into a big black hole. Or you announce elections, or you try to string it along without doing either one for a little while longer. But I mean, those are the two. That's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, if you're going to do it, go all the way. And this is if they're giving them some advice, if they want to do this, then go all the way. CC, go how CC did it. Kill people, then go all the way. And if you're going to be fascist, then do it properly. But these people are so incompetent.
They're hesitant. Which is, I'm glad they're hesitant. I don't.
No, they're not hesitant. I feel they're incompetent.
Okay. Tell me the difference. What's the difference in your mind?
The difference is, if you're hesitant, it is because you fear something.
Yeah.
And we have seen these people do not fear anything. They're just unable to control. They capture people, they beat people up, they torture people. If that Shehbaz Gill tortured like this, electrocuting his genitalia is last week. It's not long ago. So if they were hesitant in a closed door, they would not do this. Someone like in a closed secret room while the person is unarmed in your custody, you do not do this if you're hesitant. You only do it if you're a coward, if all the obstacles have been removed. So these people are not hesitant, they're incompetent, they're unable to control all of these things because they never had any control. Pakistani government never had any real control on Pakistani people. So now they're trying to exert some sort of fascistic control, which they're failing at continuously against 18-year-old kids.
Yeah, well, because I mean, the thing is, in when Sisi did the coup in Egypt, there was significant popular support for the army at that time. Like it was a real divide. There was an army, there was an army faction, there was a civil society kind of faction, and there was a Muslim Brotherhood kind of faction. It was a real three-way
because there was a
tie.
segment in Egyptian society that had a fear of Morsi. That could have been scared, afraid, and made to be afraid, so that they would accept this violence from the military. I don't think Pakistan might have that segment, but it's too small.
It doesn't. I'm not hearing it. I'm not hearing it. The kinds of conversations you would have with Egyptians at that time, there were lots of Egyptians who couldn't stand the Brotherhood, and you were seeing a lot of that. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm in more of a bubble than I was then, but I'm not seeing that kind of.
No, I don't see that either. And also, Egypt's context was, it was already under a dictatorship for a really, really long time. So the government had a system, a machinery in place to do all of these things. Pakistani machinery that is in place to do all of these things is so bad. If you're going to be fascist, you at least do it well. But
I mean, fascism has always got some. I mean, it's an elite. I think of it as an elite project, but it always has some kind of popular support. There's always some kind of group, some kind of class at group that they're appealing to. And this is they're so dynastic, and they're so interested. They just think there's this element of this is our turn. It's our turn back at the trough, and that's what
that's about it. And they never had any plan. So when they took power, they did not foresee all of this. Had they foreseen, if they were so cunningly evil, they should have seen in April that we are doing something that is clearly illegal, and clearly Pakistani people are really against that. So we should plan ahead and take these steps, so that they had no idea. They thought that if the Imran Khan is really unpopular, we will do this, as has been happening in the past. Nawaz Sharif was really unpopular. They removed him, nothing happened. Nawaz Sharif was removed in 1999 too. He was not, he was popular somewhat at that time, but nothing happened. Nowhere in the history of Pakistan, every military dictatorship was actually welcomed by the people of Pakistan. A big segment of Pakistani people. I do not see any segment in Pakistani middle class, in Pakistani lower classes supporting this.
And I mean the pan Pakistani nature of it, right? It's not like just that base, the vote bank from this party, which is from Sindh, or this vote bank from this party, which is from this part of Punjab, which you had usually with the Zardari Bhuttos or the Sharifs, right?
I mean, they have not turned up. So they're alone. The government is so scared of it, and they have apparently one journalist reported that the Pakistani government went to the military and said that we can either pay attention to Imran Khan, or we can pay attention to running the country. So you should do either one of these things. So apparently it turns out the military said, we'll take care of Imran Khan, you run the country, but neither is happening.
Yeah, that was not that didn't work out. I mean, I guess, we thought about what the post-coup government must be thinking, but I guess, I kind of feel like these articles in Time Magazine and the New York Times are some kind of signal of what the US must be telling the Pakistan government, in these closed door contexts, where it's like, that there's some feeling that it's not working. And I gather, if the American media are saying this, that this is being
Yeah.
conveyed to them as well, which also probably is giving them pause in terms of their plan to just bully forward with
Yeah, they botched
arresting
it
him.
basically. So
Yeah,
if you give someone a job in
yeah,
March, April, and they're still doing it, like this was
yeah,
supposed to be done in April and
yeah,
still dealing with it. While meanwhile, anti-Americanism is
yeah,
rising
yeah,
drastically in Pakistan. America spends a lot of money to buy some goodwill
yeah,
from Pakistani people. Like they've spent billions of dollars. In 4 months, it has been ruined. That
yeah,
billions of dollars of investment to buy
yeah,
some goodwill with the Pakistani people is down the drain. So
yeah,
they wanted some like clean operation, and probably military said to them, "Okay, we'll make it clean."
yeah, yeah.
But this does not look
Uh,
clean to me.
Honestly, it's I kind of feel like it's on the Americans too, because this is, just they also did in Pakistan what they do everywhere, and just assumed that it was going to work. And it's like, I don't know what the government could have done all that differently. They're overthrowing someone popular in the middle of that person trying to address an economic crisis, and it's part of their campaign of like, nobody should trade with Russia even if they starve and freeze in the dark.
Mhm.
And it's another, and now Pakistan's people are paying the price, right?
I think Americans have been misled.
Mhm.
Some Pakistanis have lied to the Americans. They have lied.
It's gonna
No one,
be easy. Yeah.
yeah, that we'll
Yeah.
we'll manage it. Don't worry. We brought Imran Khan. We can take him away. There's
Mhm.
no problem. He's the actual problem that is between your country and ours, and then he's the one who's taking to Russia. We'll just remove him
Yeah.
uh and easily, and everything will be fine. And he's not that popular anyway. I
Yeah.
think these are the lies that have Americans have been told.
Well, I'm hoping that you next when you come back, it'll be because they've come to their senses and announced elections. But yeah.
People don't change only in movies. Uh, I
Oh,
think
it's the circumstances under which they are. They sometimes, at the right circumstances, people can change their minds.
I really hope he turns over a new leaf. But what is going to happen is in November, Army Chief is supposed to be changed. I think we might talk in September or around November. That is when things will get really heated. Unless they arrest Imran Khan again, then we might talk. But the real thing is November. I've said that this in previous interviews to you too,
Yes.
because the Army Chief is supposed to retire in November. So a new guy is supposed to take over. No matter how loyal the potential new guy is to the current army chief, he would not want to inherit a pile of crap,
Mhm, mhm.
and the the strategy might change.
All right. Thank you so much, Vikas.
Thank you, Justin. Nice to be here always.